Hello, I'm Coleman Mizell. This is Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Roll Tide and welcome to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you at home for the next few weeks from Birmingham. It's been an exciting time for my family and I, but we'll be back soon with you in Tuscaloosa in our studio coming up. But we're glad to have you with us as we talk some Alabama football plus softball as we prepare for this weekend's NCAA Tuscaloosa Regional. We'll take a look at what's coming up on the show, plus our headlines, thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's first of all take a look at what's coming up on the show this afternoon. We'll start with an interview with Justin Jefferson, Alabama linebacker, that was recorded a few weeks ago at our podcast studios inside Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium at the Advantage Center. He'll not only talk about his experience going to Talladega Superspeedway for the NASCAR race there, getting to interact with NASCAR drivers and pit crews, but he'll talk about his decision to return for Alabama for this upcoming season, getting that fifth year of eligibility from the NCAA, and what this defense is capable of coming up this year. Then, as I mentioned, the Crimson Tide softball team gearing up for the Tuscaloosa Regional. We look forward to what's coming up at Rhodes Stadium over the next few days. Our softball broadcasters Tom Canterbury, Gray Robertson will be along with their reports and a preview of the upcoming Tuscaloosa Regional. Speaking of softball, again, hosting once again, 20 years in a row, Alabama's been able to host the regional round of the NCAA tournament at Rhodes Stadium as the Crimson Tide are the number 15 national seed. Also making their way to Tuscaloosa this week will be Virginia Tech, Belmont, and Jackson State. Jackson State, the first opponent for the Crimson Tide, coming up on Friday at Rhodes Stadium. Also, congratulations to two of our guests this season on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, Audrey Vandegrift as well as Callie Hevlin, named to the All-SEC team for fantastic performances for the Crimson Tide in softball this year. Speaking of great performances, how about the Alabama baseball team wading through all those rain delays and the schedule that was up and down all over the place against the Georgia Bulldogs? Alabama still pulls out 2 wins out of 3 games, won the final 2 games of the series to take the series against one of the nation's best teams in Georgia. Huge performance at the plate by Alabama shortstop Justin LeBron. He was named the Brooks Wallace Shortstop of the Week. That's a national honor. And also from the Southeastern Conference, he was named to the SEC Community Service Team. So great recognition for one of the best players in Alabama recent history in baseball, Justin LeBron. Now this weekend, the Crimson Tide will wrap up the regular season as Alabama has made the trip down to Gainesville, Florida, and it will be a Thursday through Saturday series for Alabama against Florida to wrap up the regular season just before the Crimson Tide take on the competition next week in Hoover, Alabama at the SEC tournament. Switching over to Alabama athletics and men's basketball, Nate Oates has been busy on the recruiting trail, adding 4 different players to his signing class. More details on that on RolledTide.com. The men's golf team came up just short at the NCAA Reno Regional, advancing to the NCAA Finals, but still a solid year for Coach Jay Sewell and the men's golf team. Some really standout performances throughout this season, so tip of the cap to Coach Sewell and the men's golf team this year. In rowing, Glenn Putre announced that he is stepping down after leading this Crimson Tide program the last few years in rowing, so there will be a new rowing coach for the Crimson Tide coming up as rowing just concluded its season, the first year of SEC rowing, and we look forward to what's ahead, not only for Coach Putre, a great run here at Alabama, but what's ahead for this rowing program. In the classroom, Alabama could not be any better. A 3.5 GPA among all Crimson Tide student athletes. That's the highest all time in Alabama history. Great performances we saw from the Crimson Tide in the classroom this year, and you combine that with the athletic success on the field, really Alabama student athletes living up to that name, student athletes, with what they did in the classroom this year. That great list includes Justin Jefferson, who's been a standout for the Crimson Tide at linebacker and over the course of the last 2 seasons, and now he's gearing up for another opportunity to play for the Crimson Tide. We talk about that, plus his fun experience at Talladega Superspeedway, as you'll hear about. You may see him as a NASCAR driver coming up in the future. Here's our one-on-one conversation with Justin Jefferson. Roll Tide and welcome back to Saban Field. We're inside the Advantage Center at our podcast studio. Roger Hoover now pleased to be joined by Alabama linebacker Justin Jefferson to talk football, of course, but also a little bit of NASCAR at the beginning of the show and just everything going on with you and the Crimson Tide. And Justin, it's great to have you back in this studio. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. It's great to be back.
Well, we're certainly excited for what's coming up for you and the Crimson Tide this year, but let's talk about what you just did in April at Talladega Superspeedway, getting to be around a NASCAR race. How special
special was that atmosphere for you?
It was very special. I have a long history of cars. I grew up watching cars. It was very special being, especially in the infield, seeing all the RVs like where they be partying. Like it was just very special. I'm a car fanatic.
That's really good. So with that, you got to not only get to see that whole scene, but you guys met Austin Cindric, who won the race.
Yes, most definitely. That dude who drove us the what'd you say his name was?
Austin Cindric.
Austin Cindric. Yes, I met him. He drove us around in the GT. Something I actually got at the crib, and it was good, especially being on the embankment. I don't know if you ever know, but it's like embanked, like completely. So like on the turns, like you don't even got to turn the wheel. Like it's just straight. It's gonna turn you because it's embanked.
And he's going fast at that point too, right?
He was going all right. He wasn't giving it all the beans, but he was going pretty fast.
Did you feel it on your body though?
Yeah, for sure. It can press you down like completely. It's all the G's. There's definitely some G forces being pulled in there.
Oh, that's really cool. So not only the experience going to go on the track, but how about some of the pit crew guys? You got to go around the Ford Performance Center, see the hauler, see the garage. How cool was all that stuff?
It was very cool. So I'm a Ford fan. So like I said, I got a Ford. So it was cool seeing that and being around the pit crews and stuff. Just seeing, especially the air guns, the little what they change the tires with. It was just very cool. It was very, very cool.
And some of those guys, former football players. I'm sure they probably told you guys that you have to be a good athlete now to be on a pit crew.
Yeah, I seen that. It's definitely some pretty beef guys on there. We talked to one dude that used to play here.
That's really good. Does that make you think maybe you'd like to get in the cars down the road at some point?
I wouldn't say being in the pit crew or anything like that, but definitely like I don't know, because cars are getting more electric. I don't like electric cars. I like gas,
More old school that way.
Most definitely. V8s, most definitely.
Was that so? You had grown up really liking a lot of NASCAR cars, different things like that. Some of your teammates, maybe that was the first time they've seen anything like that. What was their reaction?
Shoot, the people that their reaction was just like, "What am I looking at? I'm looking at a NASCAR, I guess." Like, so they really didn't have no reaction towards it. It was just they cool guys looking at it.
Yeah, and I'm sure they enjoyed getting to see Alabama football players, and to have so many different players out there. Was that a fun shared experience, especially after spring ball's done?
Most definitely, it was a great team. It was great being out there with the guys. We throwing the football around with the fans, with each other. It was a great time to be out with the guys for sure.
So you'll definitely be back to NASCAR in the future.
Oh, I want to for sure. Shoot, I might, man. I'm telling you, I like cars. It might give me my own NASCAR and be a driver.
We'll see that. We look forward to that. Well, right now you're driving this defense for the Alabama Crimson Tide football team. Again, we spoke again about a year ago as you're getting ready for your second year with the Crimson Tide. Just, if you would, just walk us through last season from your perspective and how you feel like the year went.
I feel like the year went decent. I feel like we did all right as a defense. I feel like we definitely have more to improve on, stuff that we're going to do better this year.
Anything you're really proud of, some of the steps you took individually as a player a year ago?
Individually. I feel like I just feel like I'm just proud to be out there, you know what I'm saying? Of course, be up under them lights in the defense, something a lot of people dream of, but I'm not satisfied nowhere near. I'm hungry for this year coming up.
What makes it fun to play in this style of defense, the swarm defense we always hear about with Coach Womack?
It makes it extremely fun because you get to play in space. I love playing in space. I love running. And for me, being a fast guy, being able to run, being able to play free in that defense is wonderful. It's a blessing.
Yeah, I believe you had something like 60 tackles, some tackles for a loss, a couple sacks as well. Any individual plays you're pretty proud of?
I definitely left a lot of meat on the bone for sure. I definitely had a couple good plays, but shoot, you seen my guy Hot? Oh my goodness, I was behind him. He had everything, man. He had some great plays, man.
Pretty happy with him for the NFL draft?
Oh, for sure. More than happy. I'm very proud of that guy, man. It's been nothing but a blessing even being behind him and seeing him, man. I think I was talking to somebody. I was doing an ESPN interview. It was like, anybody you look towards like one of the greats. I'm like, shoot, I do, like, you know what I'm saying, but I look at the guys that doing it right here in front of me, like D-Law Jihad. Shoot, the E4 right here, he just went first round. It's a blessing.
It's really cool to see that for him. And for Deontay, he was hoping to be, an early round draft pick this season, but unfortunately the injury at Oklahoma. What's it like knowing that he's coming back to help lead this defense this year?
Man, it's a blessing, man. One thing, D-Law is very consistent. He's very consistent. He's going to be D-Law, and I can't wait to be out there right beside him. Most definitely.
Yeah, you're going to get to be out there beside him. If we had done an interview in November, you probably didn't think you'd have a chance to be back for Alabama this year. You went through senior day and everything. But then there's been some litigation between different players in the NCAA, and now some JUCO players are getting the chance to have their fifth year of eligibility. When did you first hear about that would be an option for you to come back, and how easy was the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to come back to Alabama this year?
Man, it was Christmas Day.
No kidding.
It was Christmas Day. Coach Woe called me. It was like, man, hey, I didn't want to call you and tell you anything until I knew it was for real. But yeah, it would come back, and I just started crying because I knew what it was. Like there wasn't no doubt in my mind. It's coming back and doing one more time. A little more experience, a little more audit. I feel like this time gonna be real. It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be pretty fun.
Best Christmas you've had then?
It was a pretty good Christmas for sure.
Well, that's certainly good for all Alabama fans, you making that decision. What'd you like about spring practice? How'd this football team get better the last few weeks?
I feel like we got better as a whole. I feel like we definitely grew tighter and tighter as a team. And I definitely feel like more guys understand, like more guys are being pulled along on knowing the scheme and knowing what to do and knowing situationals. I feel like we have more depth. I feel like we really grew some depth and really grew some team bonding.
How strong is that linebacker room, especially some of the new guys that are brought in this year?
We're pretty. I'm confident if you put one through everybody in, I'm confident that we're gonna have some production out there for sure.
Put in some good work in the weight room too.
For sure. Most definitely.
Yeah. Do you really feel like that makes a difference, and like that's how teams get better? It starts in the weight room.
I don't know. I just feel like Alabama's pretty blessed to have somebody like Coach Blue, because we definitely doing whatever he's doing. I feel like he's working.
Yeah, and he's a pretty good motivator, isn't he?
Most definitely. He's one of the best strength coach I've ever had.
That's
for
certainly
sure.
good. What's your focus going to be over the next few weeks into the summer before everything really starts back with fall camp?
My focus is going to be on keeping in shape, keeping my head in the game, because we are on the off break. I'm coming off injury, so I'm really going hard. I'm really going hard physically, mentally. So soon we hit the summer, it's just going straight to fall camp, straight into Tallahassee.
That's certainly the plan. How much has the Jeff Allen, his athletic training staff, helped you come back from this injury?
100%. I don't. When my homeboys transfer, I'd be like, dog, like, what you gonna do? Like, especially if you get hurt, because I don't know what I'd do without them.
Absolutely, a lot of good resources here, right?
For sure, extremely top amount of resources. I talked to a lot of people. Like, of course, we have a lot of people that hit the portal. Unfortunately, not this spring, but before, and some of them still my homeboys, and I talk to them, and they'll tell me every day, man, y'all got it good. Y'all got it good. We do.
And that even goes to the fan support too. I mean, you put out the message that you were coming back for your fifth year. I mean, the reaction you got on social media was huge. You heard from so many people, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a blessing. I'm grateful to be back, and I'm grateful to be able to put on a good show for everyone.
Well, and the fan support here is unlike anything else. Do you love playing games in the stadium?
Most definitely. Brian Denny, oh yeah, for sure. Ain't nothing like it.
Oh, that's really good. We're going to see you in the video game coming up this summer?
What, man? I mean, not man, NCAA?
Yeah.
Of course.
Numbers going to go up, the strength and agility, speed, all that kind of stuff. Tackling power.
Shoot, I can't control what they put on their game, but I can control what I do against Tallahassee. Then, you know what I'm saying?
So you guys are already thinking Florida State right now.
I'm thinking this spring. Not this spring. I'm thinking this summer coming up, this break we have. I'm not too far ahead, but there's definitely somebody on the hit list,
We're looking forward to what's coming up, not only fall camp, but then everything in the early weeks of the season, starting with the Seminoles in Tallahassee. Justin, thank you for joining us here at Saban Field, the Advantage Center, talking a little NASCAR, but also some Alabama football as well. Best of luck. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
From NASCAR and football, we go to the background behind me, Rhodes Stadium, getting ready for Alabama softball this weekend. One of the best home environments you'll see in the country, and especially this environment shines when it's the postseason and it's the NCAA Tuscaloosa Regional. Tom Canterbury, Gray Robertson call all of our softball games here for us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and now they join us to give us a preview of what's coming up for Alabama this weekend in the Tuscaloosa NCAA Regional.
Thank you so much, Tom Canterbury, alongside Gray Robertson, and it is time for, Gray, the most wonderful time of the year. It is NCAA postseason time in the world of college softball, and once again, for the 26th straight time and the 20th time as a host in a row, Alabama is in the tournament, and it's going to be a great regional as the number 15 seed. Virginia Tech, Belmont, and Jackson State coming to Tuscaloosa, and Gray, there was some consternation, some up and down this season. So there were people that were worried about Alabama being a host. Why did Alabama end up getting the 15 seed and being a host of this tournament?
Quality wins is the name of the game. You know, the committee did introduce a couple new metrics this year. And when I say introduced, I mean they cared about it for the first time based on the criteria that they've relayed back to the general public and to the media. But still, at the end of the day, it's the number of quality wins. How many RPI top 10 wins do you have? How many top 25 wins do you have? How many top 50 wins do you have? And Alabama, once they hit that magic number of 10 in the RPI top 25 quadrant, you just knew that they were going to host. Now, where was a different question, and I think Alabama was seated a little bit lower than I thought because the committee did utilize a couple new things this year that they haven't really talked about in the past. But again, quality wins. I mean, they don't really care about what that overall record might look like in 10 and 25. 50, a bit of a different story this year. But if you just win some games in the SEC, you're going to have a shot. And Alabama did enough this year to make sure they were one of the 16 teams mentioned on Sunday.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Gray, is that when you look at the Southeastern Conference this season, a whole lot of opportunities to get those quality wins, as in the SEC this year, 7 out of the top 8 seeds, so the super regional hosts, if everything goes to chalk, will be in the SEC. So if you had a winning record and you were in the Southeastern Conference, you had a great chance.
Absolutely. I mean, let me just say the bracket is awesome this year, and what an opportunity it is for the SEC, because not only are 7 of the 8 teams supers hosts, if seeds held, 7 of the 8 teams at the Women's College World Series would be from the SEC. That's crazy. And that just shows how deep this conference is. You've got one team who missed the NCAA tournament, and they probably had a better profile than one of the SEC teams who did make it. The problem is they were just below 500, so they were automatically cut out and ineligible. But yeah, I mean, this conference, this has been such an incredible season. I think we all knew with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, it was going to be a really, really tough year. I don't think any of us really took into account just how good, though, every other team was going to be and how much they were going to level up. Teams like Mississippi State and Ole Miss, Arkansas, way ahead of schedule this year. I could maybe count 3 SEC teams that didn't meet the expectations that we had coming into the season, maybe, and 2 of them made the tournament. So it's right. Just it's remarkable what the meat grinder that is the SEC and what that does to you during the year and the way it prepares you for the postseason.
Yeah, a team like Alabama is going to be extremely battle tested coming into the NCAA tournament. But along those same lines, as far as how much the SEC prepares you, Alabama this year had a better record in conference than they had last year, and ended up being a couple seeds lower in the SEC tournament than they were last year. So it just shows you how deep this conference is and how it has really prepared everyone, including Alabama, for this NCAA tournament run.
Yeah, which is crazy. But I think if you've watched, viewers out there, listeners, if you've watched a minute of SEC softball outside of Alabama, if you randomly turned on Ole Miss Arkansas or some other series, you saw the high level play that we're talking about here, and that is what makes it fun, and it's what makes it a little difficult, I think, to kind of project where the SEC teams will finish in this tournament, because we've seen basically everybody at their highest of highs and their lowest of lows, and it kind of depends on which team shows up in each regional and beyond, that'll determine who makes it to OKC and who doesn't.
And the team that has made it to OKC a whole lot more than they haven't has been the Alabama Crimson Tide, especially here recently. And sometimes it has been an upset that Alabama has made it to the NCAA tournament by seeds, and that would be, or excuse me, made it to the Women's College World Series by seeds, and that's what it would be this year as a 15 seed. But it's going to be a heck of a regional here in Tuscaloosa. As I mentioned, you have Virginia Tech coming in, Belmont is the 3 seed, and the 4 seed is Jackson State, the SWAC champion. So let's just take a quick look at the opponents for Alabama, starting with the SWAC champion on Friday, like we talk about, Jackson State.
Yeah, always interesting to see who the 4 is going to be. Jackson State comes in, winners of the SWAC, like you said, did it in interesting fashion. Of course, in 2025 softball, their championship against Florida A&M ends in a review, an overturn that allowed for Jackson State to win the game. Things we love. Kalia Gibson has been fantastic. She was great in the SWAC tournament, hit 500. They've got kind of 3 arms that they typically go to, with Brooklyn Morris being the main focal point, the main ace, more or less. She had a great run in the conference tournament. This is also a Jackson State team that has played exactly 2 games this year against Power 4 opponents. Those were 2 games in Hawaii, a trip we love, against the Washington Huskies. So and that was back in March, by the way. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to handle everything coming up on Friday. It's been a great year for them, but they're the biggest underdogs in the entire NCAA tournament. They're literally the weakest RPI team in the field.
And then the 2 and 3 seeds in the 15 in the Tuscaloosa Regional for the 15 seed Alabama Crimson Tide. The 3 seed is Belmont, and they come in extremely hot, as most mid-majors are when they enter the NCAA tournament, and they have one of the best pitchers, not just mid-major wise, but maybe in the country.
Oh my gosh, I love this kid. Maya Johnson, her stuff is so impressive, and her story is really cool too. Started at Pitt, went through some medical stuff, transferred to Belmont. Belmont kind of took a chance on her a little bit, and each year she's gotten even more impressive. She was mainly up, she's added down, she can mix speeds, 355 strikeouts to just 19 walks this year. That is not real. That is one of the best strikeout to walk ratios. I think, I'm trying to remember what Graham Hayes wrote in his piece in Softball America, but I think it's the best in like a decade. I mean, some of the stuff she's putting up is historical numbers wise. And she's also been great in the big games. You might say, well, they're playing in the OVC. No, against Power 4 competition this year, Maya Johnson has thrown 29 innings and has a .24 ERA. And we're talking games against tournament teams like Arizona State and Georgia Tech, and Purdue was on the bubble, and I kind of think they should have gotten in. Like, she hasn't done this against scrubs in the Power 4. She's done it against good teams on the road. So she is a really, really impressive pitcher, and she kind of follows that mold that we've seen the last few years in some of the 3s who've come to Alabama, where they've got that arm that they can ride. And the question is, can everybody else behind help her out? Because the offense has been a little hit or miss. They played well in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, but they have not been super consistent all year long. They have not been particularly explosive against some of those Power 4 teams I was talking about. So that's kind of the biggest question for Belmont. But the ace in the circle, that'll keep them in every game they play this weekend.
And their first game is going to be against Virginia Tech, coming to Tuscaloosa from the ACC. They have 2 players on the team that were golden ticket winners and going to the Pro League AUSL, including one of the best home run hitters and one of the best pitchers in the country, and also a team that Alabama has seen a lot recently, including this year. They came to Tuscaloosa during the regular season, and Bama split a pair.
Yeah, let me drop a stat on you, partner. So Corey McMillan, 30 home runs on the year. Since April Fool's Day, that was a little over a month ago, she's had 16 of those. That is over half of her home runs this year in conference play. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. ACC Player of the Year, of course. named earlier today as one of the finalists, top 10 finalists for National Player of the Year. She leads the way. She'll be the leadoff. She is dangerous. She can hit just about anything. The question for Virginia Tech is, what do the rest of them do? We did not see Michelle Chatfield play in the ACC tournament. Pete Tamora has talked a little bit about that. We'll see what her status is here this weekend in the regional. And then Bree Peck has been a very experienced bat. Like, there are other weapons in the lineup, but how much are all those other 8 players in the order able to help Corey McMillan will kind of dictate how successful Virginia Tech is this weekend, along with the performance of Emma Lemley. She is so good, so explosive. We've seen her from the early days. I mean, it was her second weekend ever as a collegiate pitcher when she came to Tuscaloosa and threw that incredible tough luck loss that Alabama won thanks to an Allie Shipman home run. She's gotten better since then. She's had a little trial and tribulation in between for her freshman to now her senior year, but she's still so good with that changeup that she can throw as well. She can work the ball up and down. She can move it through the zone. The question for her is control. There are some games where all of a sudden Emma Lemley's either throwing it right over the plate or way all the way around the zone, and you can just take your walk until you get a chance to truly take your hack as something over the white. Is she able to show up in that regard? We'll see, because she's been in Rhodes, but she hasn't necessarily pitched well in regionals in her career. It's an interesting dynamic because I wonder which pressure will be the one that's more concerning. Is it the fact that you're pitching in the postseason, or is it pitching at Rhodes? Because she's got all the experience in the world pitching in this environment, but she's the arm, and she doesn't really have a ton of backup behind her in this postseason. So it'll be fascinating to see what her mindset is and how she looks on Friday, presuming that she throws against Belmont.
And so that brings us to the Crimson Tide, and you got a couple of all-conference players that were named here in the last week, Audrey Vandergriff as well as Callie Hevlin. So you got a freshman and a senior leading the way offensively for the Crimson Tide, and in the circle, Jocelyn Brisky and Caitlin Riley will be the main focus, especially after you get out that first game against Jackson State.
Yeah, Audrey Vandergriff has got to be great. She is capable of being great. She is gearing up for hopefully a bunch of honors now that we've hit the postseason, all region, hopefully all American, a lot of things ahead. But she's got to be on base a good bit, because when she is, spoiler alert, the offense is better. I mean, when your best player is getting on base, when your best hitter in terms of average and total number of hits, when the person who scores the most and can cause the most chaos on base is on base, better things happen. And she's got to be really good. And then behind, you mentioned Callie Hevlin, who I'm not worried about. She's going to be consistent. That's been her thing this year. It's Lauren Johnson, Brooke Ellistad, Abby Dukeshire. Can they kind of bring it? And if one of them doesn't, can the others pick up the slack right behind to get in Callie and get in Audrey when they're on base? And then the bottom of the order. The bottom of the order in some of Alabama's best performances this year have actually been the more productive part of the lineup. So we'll see if that is able to continue this season with people like Salyn Hawkins, and Marley Giles has kind of been up and down. We'll see where Patrick Murphy slots her in the lineup this weekend. Whoever the DP is, like, there are options, but everyone's got to be kind of moving in the same direction if this offense has to work and is going to work. Pitching wise, Brisky and Caitlin Riley are going to have to be a little bit sharper, because my biggest concern is the long ball. This is a staff that has done a great job not giving up home runs this year, except for like the last week and a half. And look, normally I'm like, whatever, blip in the radar, but you're also potentially about to face the nation's leader in home runs in Corey McMillan, and a Virginia Tech offense that has other people behind her who can hit it out of the yard. So Alabama's mistakes have got to be good mistakes. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to miss in the dirt, miss to the backstop, miss way outside, I don't care. Do not miss over the white, because Virginia Tech is a team that will pummel you if you do that. And last thing, I know we didn't really mention this, maybe you were about to, and I'm sorry, the defense has got to continue to be excellent. The defense,
we've worked together for a long time. That was what I was about to mention.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, it's crazy, because I was doing an interview with Virginia Tech earlier this week, and you think about when these teams played earlier this year, Alabama's defense was a liability then. Now I could argue it's the biggest strength on the team. That's so key, and that's going to be something else that Virginia Tech has to deal with. An Alabama defense that is solidified, that has great chemistry now, that seems to have really bonded, and now is very capable of making the plays and avoiding the catastrophic mistakes that we saw way too much in February and March.
And it'll be also interesting to see after Alabama was eliminated from the SEC tournament on Wednesday on day 2 of that tournament. This is the longest break Alabama has had all season long. So it's really an opportunity for the Crimson Tide here in the last week leading up to this weekend to kind of really get a full reset, recharge, and set up for this postseason run.
Yeah, get everybody healthy, work the kinks out, get some sleep, because Lord knows the sleep has not been real the last few weeks with the game times and the delays and everything else that Alabama's dealt with, and just get a chance to kind of get that settled feeling back. You know, like you said, kind of just reset everything, refocus, because we've seen in years where Alabama had worse finishes at the end of the regular season, they still find a way to make a run, whether it be to OKC or against a really good Supers opponent or somebody like that. Alabama does not go quietly into the night. That's happened like one time in 25 years, if we're being totally honest. And this week is where I think Patrick Murphy does some of his best work, because he gets everybody fully retooled. He's able to motivate them the right way. We see it every year. And I know that this staff is really utilizing this time to truly break down every tendency and intricacy about the three opponents coming this weekend, and also building up the players, building up the team, building up the staff, and getting everybody truly mentally ready to go for the most important time of the year.
So the Tuscaloosa Regional getting underway this weekend, Friday. 2:30 is the first pitch for Virginia Tech and Belmont. If you have tickets, if you're coming out for Alabama, if you can, I highly suggest come out for that first game. It's going to be a heck of a matchup between the Hokies and the Lions of Belmont.
I mean, I want to piggyback on that. Like, if you've got the chance, come to the game. I hope I'm not overhyping this, but one of the most exciting 2-3 matchups in the entire country is happening here in Tuscaloosa. And I know Alabama's not in the game, but it's important to the Tide, and it's just good for the sport. Like, if it's Emma Lemley, Maya Johnson, sign me up. Like, let's go. That really gets me excited, and I'm going to show up probably a couple hours earlier than I normally do for our game time.
And that's followed by Jackson State and the Crimson Tide, the 1-4 matchup. 5 o'clock, the scheduled first pitch. 4:45 will be the airtime on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, regardless on how long that 2-3 matchup is going on. We might have an extended pregame for you. If those two teams want to have like a 15-inning marathon, I think we're cool with it. It'll be fine.
I mean, I'm good with it. Like, wear each other out and give us good softball to watch. That's all I ask.
Yeah, down for that. Saturday, 11 o'clock will be the first pitch of the winner's bracket game. Should Alabama be a part of that, 10:45 will be the airtime for that one. And then there's games at 1:30 and 4, and then the championship will be at 1 o'clock on Sunday. If Alabama's in it, 12:45 will be the airtime, and then there's an if necessary game afterwards should the one-loss team force it. So it should be a great weekend of softball in Tuscaloosa, and we'll have it all for you on the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, all the games are viewable as well around the country. So if you're pondering getting ESPN Plus, if you love softball, now's the time, because you'll be able to turn things on at 11 a.m. and check out what's going on in College Station or Gainesville. This is my favorite weekend of the year. Friday and Saturday are my favorite sports days and my favorite days of work. And I can't wait to get this tournament started. Tuscaloosa is going to be awesome. The whole tournament's going to be awesome. And let's go. I mean, can we start now? What are we waiting on?
So for my partner, Gray Robertson, I'm Tom Canterbury. We will see you on Friday at 4:45, Alabama and Jackson State kicking off the Tuscaloosa Regional. Back to you, Roger.
Great work by Tom and Gray, breaking down everything you can see coming up at the Tuscaloosa Regional over the next few days. We'll start to take a look at our upcoming schedule, see what's happening on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Well, of course, just baseball and softball this time of the year. The baseball team starting its series tonight against the Florida Gators, starting at 5:30. Appreciate Matt Davis filling in for us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Hope you can listen to him over the next 3 days. 5:30 start times on Thursday and Friday, and then on Saturday at 3 o'clock to round out the regular season for Rob Vaughn and the Crimson Tide. Softball, we know they'll be starting play in the Tuscaloosa Regional coming up tomorrow at 5 p.m. against Jackson State, and then the schedule is kind of to be determined, whether Alabama's in the winner's bracket or or the losers bracket based on that Friday results. Then we'll determine the schedule, but we'll have full updates available on all of our social media platforms at UA_CTSN. And as I said with Tom and Gray, when we talked about them joining us on the show this week, hey, you know the drill. If Alabama keeps advancing, we'll keep having you guys back on the show to preview the next weekend of action. And we would love to see the Crimson Tide back in a Super Regional after they were able to win in Knoxville last year against Tennessee. So best of luck to Alabama softball in the regional coming up. And then baseball, of course, finishing strong against the Florida Gators down in Gainesville. It's going to wrap up this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guests, Justin Jefferson, as well as Tom and Gray, for their insights on Alabama softball. Thanks as well to our video producer, Ethan Carabin, putting all this show together and bringing it to you on this Thursday afternoon. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying thanks again for watching, and roll Tide.